Well, Angela Rayner's departure from all three of her roles, Deputy PM, Housing Secretary and Deputy Labour Leader, was followed this afternoon by a big cabinet reshuffle. So Keir Starmer took the opportunity to sack two other cabinet ministers. He made David Lammy his new Deputy Prime Minister, Yvette Cooper is Foreign Secretary, and Shabana Mahmood has taken over her role at the Home Office. Our political editor, Gary Gibbon, is with me. Much bigger reshuffle than it had to be.
Yes, he didn't absolutely have to do this. Number 10 is saying that this had always been a plan he'd been working on during the summer, and we were going to get something like this. But Angela Rayner's departure has brought it in. What Number 10 is also saying is, look at how it neatly maps on to the changes in Number 10 itself, the machinery in Number 10 that were announced at the beginning of the week, showing a focus on small boats, showing a focus on trying to get economic growth. But it begs a number of questions. If you're having to do this many changes in very serious jobs, did you have the right people in the right jobs before? It also raises all sorts of questions about the political balance of the government. We've talked before about whenever there's a reshuffle under Keir Starmer, it always seems as though, whatever you want to call them, the Blairites, the modernisers, the right of the party, are moving up the table. Well, they certainly moved up the table here, and they're in very significant positions. And most of the people who've advanced are people who probably have Morgan McSweeney, if not on Redial 1, the Mandelsonian protege chief of staff to Keir Starmer, then certainly on chatty WhatsApp terms on their phones with him. What does it all mean for policy? Well, it suggests you're going to get a bit more pro-growth stuff, and that probably means deregulation, maybe, and agendas like that. And it probably means you're going to get more hardline stuff on boats.
It also makes you wonder whether they've gone so big on the reshuffle to knock Angela Rayner's scandal off the front pages.
Well, as I was saying, they say that this was all coming anyway, but it does have the happy coincidence, perhaps, of knocking that down the newspapers, because the Angela Rayner story is a gift to the Nigel Farage narrative that all politicians in the established parties are the same. But actually, perhaps, even though she was a huge character with a fascinating backstory and everything, the biggest part of her legacy may be this deputy leadership contest that is coming up, because this is a gift of a moment. The left is calling it, the WhatsApp groups of the left are lighting up tonight. They're calling it an opportunity to have a referendum on Keir Starmer. They're saying anybody who supported the welfare changes, which collapsed just before the summer recess, well, they haven't got a chance of getting the deputy leadership. They're intending to get in there someone who will make life difficult for Keir Starmer. And there's a letter from the General Secretary gone out to members tonight saying that this deputy leadership contest is definitely going ahead. No absolute timetable yet, but it must be conducted in a manner that befits the party of government. Well, you know what Holly Ridley, the General Secretary, is trying to say there. For goodness sake, can we keep this sort of respectful to the leadership? Fat chance, I'd have thought.
We now enter into sort of phase 2 of the government, which is where we focus on delivery.
Only 4 days later, the focus changes as events crash in on his plans.
Angela Rayner has resigned as Deputy Prime Minister.
Angela Rayner had no choice but to quit after the government's advisor on ministerial standards said she had not done enough to check if she was underpaying stamp duty. Keir Starmer decided he should use this moment of turmoil to make drastic changes elsewhere.
Deputy Prime Minister, feeling pleased?
That took many in the cabinet by surprise. David Lammy smiled, having already learnt that his demotion from Foreign Secretary to Justice Secretary was being sweetened with the title Deputy Prime Minister. The new Foreign Secretary is Yvette Cooper, in what may be one of the most important moves of the reshuffle. Her place as Home Secretary is taken by the former Justice Secretary, Shabana Mahmood.
Home Secretary, how will you stop the boat?
Keir Starmer will be hoping she will get a stronger grip of the small boats and migrant hotel issues. The saga of Angela Rayner's newly acquired flat in Hove raced forward this government redesign. Her failure to pay the proper stamp duty when she bought it was this morning ruled an unacceptable mistake. The independent advisor on ministerial standards, Sir Laurie Magnus, said, having reviewed the legal advice that Angela Rayner said she'd followed, she did not heed the caution contained within it, which acknowledged that it did not constitute expert tax advice and which suggested that expert advice be sought. That, and the fact that this was established only after intensive public scrutiny, Sir Laurie wrote, leads me to advise you that she cannot be considered to have met the highest possible standards of proper conduct. I consider the code to have been breached. Angela Rayner, in her letter to the Prime Minister, said, "I take full responsibility for this error." Keir Starmer, in a handwritten reply, thanked her for being a trusted colleague and a true friend for many years, signing off with real sadness, Keir. Her resignation, not just from government, but from her elected position as deputy leader, leaves a vacancy, which under the rules should be elected by Labour members and trade unionists. A chance to show Keir Starmer what they think of his premiership so far.
This will be about as welcome as a bucket of sick. The history of Labour Party deputy leadership contests is often that they show up a battle between left and right. And while I don't think that's as pronounced as it has been in the past, I think this will show some of the fractures, maybe some of the strains that might start to appear in the future. So you might see a deputy leadership contest where you've got someone opposing the government's position on welfare versus someone who is on side.
At Reform UK's conference in Birmingham, Nigel Farage brought forward his leader's speech a few hours to make sure the reshuffle and the Angela Rayner story didn't steal his moment.
It screams to a government that, despite all the promises that this would be a new, different kind of politics, is as bad, if not worse, than the one that went before.
Nigel Farage has said privately that Angela Rayner would have been the Labour leader he most feared in a general election. Her authenticity more in tune, he believes, with this political age. A talent now lost to a cabinet where more than half start tomorrow in a new job.
I think there's going to be a big change in the Home Office right the way through the ministerial rankings on clearly the small boats issue, the public confidence in the government's ability to be competent and to demonstrate fairness on these issues is right at the top alongside the economy. I think though the big news story in a way, although this isn't how it would be covered, but the big news story is Rachel Reeves wasn't moved. Rachel Reeves stays in place as Chancellor.
And Number 10 was quick to telegraph Rachel Reeves wasn't going anywhere to make sure the government's problems weren't added to by market panic. Keir Starmer hopes his new deployments may be better at getting the economic growth she desperately needs to make the nation's numbers add up.
Darshna, how has the resignation gone down there?
Well, Angela Rayner has been the MP here for a decade. She was the first woman to represent this seat, and she's been a trailblazer in so many ways. And a lot of people said to me today that they feel that her story of a working class girl done good is something that inspires them. That's a word that I heard a lot of. And people say that they could relate to Angela Rayner in a way that they couldn't with other politicians. But, and it's a big but, another word I heard today a lot of was disappointment. And worryingly for Labour, a lot of people said that they felt it was perhaps inevitable that as she rose through the Labour ranks, it was perhaps inevitable that she would forget those working class roots.
She inspired quite a lot of people, so yeah.
And she inspired them because she was working class, because she made it to be Deputy Prime Minister?
Yeah, she made it up there from, how far she has come, and without qualification for her to come up there. So I would say, many people were inspired. It's actually sad that she is actually resigning.
So you think she was a good role model in a lot of ways? She left school at 16, didn't have any qualifications.
Absolutely, isn't it? That everyone can aspire to that, because that means anyone can get into a position like that if you work hard enough. And she's worked really hard to get where she's got to.
A lot of other girls have done that, though. Do you know what I mean? Not just her. So I don't feel sorry for her. Not one little bit. And she should be paying all that back. That tax. She's giving that back. Give it back.
She's not fit to represent the town. Not in my opinion. She's taking a liberty. The only regret she's got is the fact that she got found out.
And now Keir Starmer's going for a big reshuffle. Would that tempt you back to Labour?
No way. It's just a constant. All parties do this, don't they? When things go wrong, we have a reshuffle. So we reshuffle, and 6 months down the line, we're in the same position we were 6 months before. So it doesn't work that. If the quality's not in the party, it's never going to happen, no matter how long you reshuffle.
And it's interesting, that view there of what next for Labour as well as for Angela Rayner. She continues to be the MP for this seat, of course, and people say they hope she'll continue to be a straight-talking backbencher. But I think her story illustrates just how so few politicians today people feel are genuine, and that all-important word that so many struggle to convey, authentic.